primarily we'd like to have one long-term and then respite and emergency. So we do get a lot of kids who just come for the weekend, particularly with respite. Since May 2017, so 8.5 years. Altogether, about 60 children. In a way, it's my wife's story in that she was helping to care for her newborn nephew, and as she was driving back and forth to the Gold Coast, she saw signs saying become a foster carer with LWB, and she asked her whether she could join up, whether we would join up, and I agreed on the proviso that she would be the primary carer. We did all our training, and then when the first child arrived, I just loved it, and so yeah, I've become the primary carer. Yes, I work at home as a computer programmer, but my work's always been quite flexible. It's project based, so I can generally drop things. And, if I need to go to school, pick up a child or something like that, or take them to an appointment. Yes, I think so. Particularly since we've never had children of our own. It was just something that we decided to do, and then suddenly our lives are just filled with children, basically. We've had up to 4 at a time, which was quite challenging, particularly when my wife had to go into hospital. She still tells the story about I rang her up in a panic saying, "Where's the children's Panadol?" And she still laughs and tells people that little story. We generally take any age range. The youngest we've had was like 6-month-old baby, and then the oldest was 17, going on 18. Boys and girls, any gender or any gender identification, that's fine with us as well. The onboarding process, it was great. It was just multiple weekends when we were doing training with the same group and learning to work out what our style was and what style of parent that we could be. So it took probably, I think it was about February or March of 2017 we started, so it feels like it was about 2 months, but it was quite a while ago. So I don't remember all the ins and outs of it, but yeah, a lot of training, and then I definitely supported the Life Without Barriers. We were eventually signed to a child and family practitioner or Life Without Barriers worker. She was with us for many years, and then things were rearranged, and actually she came back again, so she's still our practitioner that we work with, and we get along with her really well. Very helpful, very knowledgeable. Any questions that we have, nothing's too much trouble for her. As much as I can through Life Without Barriers. Also it's called Evolve, it's the Children's Mental Health Services in Queensland. They do a lot of webinar, like online, and also in-person training as well. So because we didn't have children of our own, we had zero experience, and we knew nothing. So training was a big part of what we did. So we just pretty much do as much as we can that's relevant for the children that we've looked after. Caring's quite a tough gig to do full time. So it's good for carers to have a break so that they can, rejuvenate themselves. The respite is basically a way where the children that they care come to us so that those carers can have a break, and in return they'll return the favour and look after one of our children. Whereas emergency is more that a child, when they first come into care and they just need to find a bed for the night or for a short time while they're generally looking for relatives or kin to become the carers. The long-term care basically depends on what sort of court order that they're on. You're just doing the day-to-day care for this child. You're getting them to school, you're taking them to appointments, you're dealing with basically pretty well all the decisions when it comes to looking after the child, particularly the day-to-day decisions. Well, we're basically already set up. We've got the bedroom set up. We've got a range of toys. Make sure that the bedrooms have night lights if the children want it. They've got the speaker in there if they want to listen to music or lullabies or something to help them, to soothe them as well. And we have a policy that the first night that a child stays with us, it's their choice what we have for dinner that night. So if it's takeaways or Maccas or something like that, then that just helps to settle them in and sees that we're a friendly face, because I'm quite tall and getting on a bit, so I can look quite intimidating, so I tend to try to get down to the child's level so that I don't loom so large for them. Yes, we've looked after probably a handful of sibling groups, generally just 2 at a time. One of our earliest emergency care was a sibling group who'd just been taken into the care. You often get them where they've come from another carer to us, but occasionally you get them where they first come into care from their home environment, and that's really tough as well. So that sibling group that sisters I'm thinking about, the older one understood what was happening and was just really upset and just needed someone just to sit with her. And because I'm a stranger, it was just really tough for her as well to express those emotions. But, she was comfortable and, she didn't run off or anything like that. So she just let me sit with her and be calm. She needed someone with her. She didn't want to be left alone. So, it can be tough at times. But with sibling groups, they often look after each other. There's another young sisters that we had as well. I know they were the sweetest little girls. And they just looked after each other. They just fitted straight into the household. They wanted to help me with the cooking and the cleaning whenever I was doing anything. And the funny thing was as well, they took on a lot of our sayings, our old people sayings, like they'd lose their bag or something or other. And my wife would say, "What's that in there? What's that, a pork chop?" And to hear these little 4-year-olds when her sister lost something, and "What's that, a pork chop?" And it was just hilarious. And they've really touched us, those two. Oh, definitely. Yeah. They know each other. And on the odd occasion where we weren't able to take the sibling for whatever reason, or there might have been a very large group and they've had to split them into multiple because, not every carer can suddenly take on 7 extra children. They really feel the loss and they wonder where they are and when they'll be back together, etc. So it's tough for them, for the children in particular, and we just do what we can to help out and help them to relax and be soothed by the training that we've got. So many. Well, the very first child was a big shock to her, but it was a big shock to us as well. Just suddenly having this little person who you're in charge of, you're the one who's looking after them. And basically we've maintained a relationship to this day. She's 19 now. In fact, I'm going to visit her next week, and she's got a family of her own. So it's really nice. She's very special to us. Sometimes the children have, obviously challenging behaviours depending on their background. At first, you don't really know what to do despite the training, but after a while you learn what works and what doesn't, and generally it's just being calm, letting it happen, whatever it is. You just have to be there for them as well. There was a child who was with us for 2 or 3 months not that long ago, and then it was suddenly decided they were going to move her to a different carer, and so we had to tell her on the weekend, and on the morning that she was due to go, some very challenging behaviours which she hadn't shown before, and we just stayed calm, and I sat with her on the couch. She had a bit of a rant and rave at me for a while, and then she sat next to me and wanted me to do up her shoelaces for school. She was being picked up from school. So you just learn to be calm and reasonable, and take moments for yourself as well. Sometimes when I feel that it's getting to me, whatever's happening, and luckily there's 2 of us, my wife and I, that we can tag team. The other one can take over and I can step out just to centre myself and get back into the fray as well. So you do need time for yourself as a carer in challenging moments, but the training really helps, and you tell yourself you've got this, and you have, and you really help the children. Oh, absolutely. I keep coming back to it because we've never had children. We don't know what, particularly with medical things, what is serious versus not serious, and we always err on the side of caution. And the number of times we've been to the emergency department in the Children's Hospital in Brisbane, and we obviously always call Life Without Barriers just to inform them that we're there, what we're there for, and they help out as much as they can. There was one child who was in hospital for quite some time, and Life Without Barriers helped just with meals, etc. sometimes as well, because I do most of the cooking. They were just helping out and doing things to keep the home fires burning while I was dealing with the child in hospital. Generally at events we get together, and Life Without Barriers holds various events in Queensland, so we often attend those and get to know some of the carers, and for example also the ones that we do Respite for, there's again that mutual respite thing that we get to know those carers as well. I'm in the Care Advisory Group for Life Without Barriers. I'm also a support team member for the Peak Body in Queensland as well, QFKC. So I try to get involved in many discussions just to help to inform people how things look from a carer's point of view. The myth that you often see that people get from TV particularly is that foster kids are trouble and they're often picked on and bullied at school, but they're just children. They're behaving how they've been raised, or they're responding to what they've been used to in the home environment or before they came to us. They're just children. So once they stay with us for long enough and they start to take on our values, then they calm down. And for example, the child that we have at the moment, her school attendance were very poor before she came to us. very low grades. And she rang me yesterday and really happy that she got a B+ in a science exam yesterday morning. So now she's just doing really well. She's got some great friends at school, and she still occasionally gets people who say, why are you in care? What are they like? Are they mean to you? And she just says no. So there's a lot of myths around foster care, but they're just families looking after children basically. It's very rewarding. You do get attached to the children, and you're helping out in a tough situation. So every conversation turns to me being a foster carer, and I always advocate for everyone becoming a foster carer, even just for respite. Some people couldn't take having a child for a long time and then maybe having to let them go and say, well, just do respite. You're giving the carers that are out there a break and a rest so that they can, be able to continue on. There are many children in the care system, in Queensland in particular. There's a big drive at the moment to get more family-based placements, because the hardest thing for children is when they get placed into a residential care arrangement where it's basically like a group home type situation with the youth workers looking after them who rotate around, etc. And it's obviously much better for children to be in a family. So the more foster carers out there, the better to help out. And as I said before, even if you can just do respite, you never know, you might find the right child and fall in love and want to do it a bit more full time.